People often imagine that prosperity arrives with noise, thunder, or some kind of divine announcement, but the truth is far quieter and far more unsettling. It begins with the smallest sentence you whisper into your life without noticing, and that whisper always determines everything that follows, for better or worse. I learned this the hard way, not in a moment of triumph, but in a moment of collapse, when I understood that the universe listens even when we do not. Jewish tradition has shared this truth for generations, teaching that every word is a seed planted in soil of destiny. Yet most people speak without intention, tossing phrases into the air as if they were weightless, never realizing that these phrases settle quietly into the future they are building. And the most dangerous of these is a sentence spoken casually, politely, automatically. A sentence that closes the door to abundance. But before we explore that danger, I want to invite you into an act of courage. Write in the comments a phrase you often say about your life, any phrase at all. Do this because naming your words is the first step toward reclaiming their power, and because clarity precedes transformation. Your comment is not a confession. It is a declaration that you are ready to observe yourself with honesty. And once you observe, you begin to understand the patterns shaping your reality. Jewish wisdom insists that nothing changes until language changes, for language is the doorway through which energy enters. And this doorway can open or close depending on the phrases you repeat. Some phrases expand your world, others shrink it until you can hardly breathe. The tragedy is that most people repeat limiting sentences out of habit, not belief, unaware that each repetition tightens the knot around their potential. I realized this truth only when I watched someone I loved sabotage opportunities simply by speaking as if nothing better could come. Their words were gentle, polite, soft enough to ignore, yet powerful enough to shift the current of their life. And in witnessing this, I understood patterns with clarity. From that moment, I became attentive to every phrase that rose to my tongue, noticing how often I tried to make others by pretending that everything was fine. And with each observation, I discovered how this false calmness drained ambition, dulled intuition, and closed the doors that were to open. And so I began to question not only what I said, but why I said it. Was it fear, habit, a desire to avoid discomfort? Each answer revealed a layer of the structure guiding my choices. Language, I realized, is not decoration. It is architecture, shaping the in which lives unfold. And as I listened closely, I understood that this journey was not about eliminating hardship, but about aligning speech with truth. For truth invites movement, and movement invites blessing. Which is why, before we go deeper, you must know the first silent mistake everyone makes, the mistake that steals prosperity. There is a belief at the heart of Jewish wisdom that shifts the ground beneath your feet the moment you truly understand it. Words are not sounds. They are forces. They do not describe reality, they sculpt it. And once you accept this, you begin to see your life not as a series of random events, but as a field shaped by the seeds you have been planting since childhood. עם יהודית טרדיציה, זאת האידאה ancient, הולדה מממורי, הולדה מהסתורים wisper את הסבך טייבל. התסד שקריאציה עצמה בגלל נת והנds או tools, but with speech. A universe unfolded me a single phrase, the everything since has been an echo of that original vibration. That is why we say, a word is never just a word. It is an instruction, a command, a blueprint. My own family carried this truth like a fragile treasure. My great-grandfather used to tell a story of the time when he lost everything in 3 days. Not because of a bad investment or a stroke of misfortune, but because of a sentence he repeated without noticing. It was a small sentence, an attempt at humility, a way of avoiding envy. But in trying to protect himself, he unknowingly declared to the universe that he needed nothing more. And the universe listened. When he told me this story, I remember being confused. How could a simple phrase unravel a life so quickly? But as I grew older, I watched others repeat the same mistake. Some said, I can't complain, trying to sound grateful. Others said, it's good enough, trying to sound modest. And slowly, gently, life began shrinking around them as if their words had drawn boundaries too tight for growth. This is where the contrast becomes painfully clear. Two people can face the same difficulty, feel the same pressure, and stand at the same crossroads, yet one says, I'm managing, and stays stuck, while the other says, thank God I'm learning, and begins to rise. One phrase closes the door, the other opens a window. That is how subtle the difference can be. And there, hidden in this dance of language, 3 fatal errors most people make without ever noticing. Small mistakes, almost invisible, that sabotage their prosperity before it even has a chance to appear. These errors are so common that you have probably spoken them today without realizing their weight. The first mistake seems innocent, even polite. The second pretends to be self-care. But the third is the most dangerous of all. It disguises itself as acceptance, as maturity, as wisdom. And yet it carries the power to freeze your progress for years. Before we reveal them, you must understand one thing. Language is the bridge between the inner world and the outer one. Change what you speak, and the bridge shifts its direction. And the moment that bridge turns, everything you meet on the other side begins to change with it. The first invisible mistake is simple, familiar, and almost harmless on the surface, yet it corrodes prosperity from within. It is the quiet reflex of saying I'm fine when your soul is not fine, when your heart is asking for more, when your spirit is restless but you silence it to appear strong, polite, or easy to handle. This sentence is spoken so quickly, so automatically, that most people do not notice the consequences it carries, but the universe does. When you say I'm fine, you are not merely describing your current emotion, you are announcing to creation that you require nothing else. In spiritual terms, you declare yourself full, and fullness in Jewish understanding leaves no room for new blessings. A full vessel cannot receive more water, even if the water is life itself. God does not pour abundance into a cup that claims it has no space. Psychologically, the effect is just as powerful. The brain listens closely to the words you choose. When you repeat, I'm fine, your mind shifts into maintenance mode instead of growth mode. It stops scanning the world for opportunities. It stops generating new ideas. It stops seeking the next step. Your language becomes the ceiling above your potential, and this ceiling lowers with every repetition. I once watched this unfold in the life of a neighbor who had immense talent but invisible fear. Every time someone asked how he was doing, he answered, I'm fine, can't complain. It sounded harmless, even humble. But slowly, opportunities slipped away from him like water through open fingers. First, he turned down a small business proposal because he felt content. Then he ignored an invitation to collaborate on a local project because he felt stable. Within 3 days, exactly 3, he lost a deal that could have changed the course of his career. Not because he lacked skill, but because he declared he lacked need. The universe mirrors the posture you present. If you insist you are fine, it will take you at your word. Prosperity requires an opening, a crack where hope can enter, a space where possibility can breathe. But the phrase, I'm fine, seals that crack, even when spoken casually. Many people say it to avoid vulnerability. Others say it because they do not want to burden anyone. Still others speak it out of habit, unaware that each repetition sends a subtle signal. Do not expand, do not grow, do not transform. And life obeys. This is why the first step toward prosperity is not grand or dramatic. It is the simple act of refusing to lie to yourself with polite phrases. Honesty, even whispered softly, reopens the channels that have been blocked for years. Yet this is only the beginning. For the danger hidden inside the first mistake pales beside the second error, the one most people commit right after experiencing a moment of progress, the one that quietly steals momentum even faster than saying, I'm fine. In Jewish tradition, there is a teaching whispered with reverence, a warning preserved through centuries. Be careful when speaking as if you already have enough, for the full cannot receive more. The Talmud carries this wisdom like a lantern in the dark, illuminating the subtle spiritual mechanics behind prosperity. It teaches that abundance flows not toward those who claim completion, but toward those who admit they are still becoming, still expanding, still open to what God may place in their hands. This is why the phrase, "I'm fine," though innocent on the surface, becomes a spiritual barrier. It signals closure. To say you are full is to shut the door through which blessings enter, and blessings, like light, require a crack to slip through. When you present yourself as complete, even unintentionally, heaven respects your declaration. Completion leaves no space for continuation. But these truths are not meant to remain abstract. They translate directly into the quiet corners of everyday life. When you say, "I'm fine," even out of habit, you tell your mind that nothing more is required. Your brain, obedient and literal, shifts into preservation mode. It stops seeking ideas, stops noticing opportunities, stops generating movement. A stagnant mind creates a stagnant path. To understand this more clearly, imagine a cup filled to the brim. Pouring more water into it would cause overflow and waste, not growth. This is why the universe in its design pours blessings where there is acknowledged emptiness, not where there is declared fullness. Speech becomes the shape of the cup. When your words declare fullness, the cup stops expanding. This is also why honesty, even uncomfortable honesty, creates breakthroughs. When you say, "I am trying," or "I am learning," or "I need guidance," you create a spiritual opening. You stretch the cup. You invite the unseen forces that accompany perseverance. Jewish wisdom does not reward perfection. It rewards openness. So take a moment and reflect. Where in your life have you been announcing fullness without realizing it? In which relationships do you pretend everything is settled? In which dreams do you whisper, "It's fine," instead of admitting you desire more? Notice the places where politeness has replaced truth. Notice the areas where your spirit has been silent to avoid conflict or discomfort, because those are the exact spaces where blessings have been waiting for permission to enter. They have hovered, halted, paused, not because you were unworthy, but because your words closed the door they needed. And yet, this first shift, powerful as it is, addresses only one part of the problem. There is another mistake, one even more subtle, that people commit not when they feel stuck, but when they finally begin to rise. It is the second silent enemy of prosperity, and it disguises itself as comfort, stability, and even success. The second mistake enters quietly, almost kindly, slipping into your life not when you are weak, but when you finally begin to rise. It is the temptation to exhale too soon, to loosen your grip the moment progress appears, to believe that one small victory means the journey is complete. This mistake hides behind comfort, behind relief, behind the desire to rest after a long season of struggle. And because it feels deserved, almost sacred, few people ever recognize the danger inside it. Jewish wisdom teaches that the moment you declare a battle won too early, you invite stagnation. Momentum is a living force, sensitive and fragile, and it reacts instantly to your posture. When you soften, it softens. When you pause, it dissolves. When you say, even silently, "I've made it," the universe steps back and says, "Then there is no more to give." I once heard an expression, half joke, half warning, that a sleeping crocodile becomes a handbag. It sounds humorous, but its meaning cuts deep. The moment a creature relaxes in the wrong environment, it becomes someone else's opportunity. Life works the same way. The second you stop paying attention, the world reshapes itself around your absence. Prosperity prefers those who continue moving, not those who settle into the illusion that progress guarantees permanence. Psychologically, the pattern is unmistakable. After a breakthrough, an unexpected opportunity, a good month financially, a moment of inspiration, the brain releases dopamine, creating a sense of reward. But dopamine also tells the mind to rest, to slow down, to enjoy the victory. And if you surrender to that rest for too long, the initial drive that created the breakthrough begins to fade. Your habits loosen, your standards soften, your vigilance disappears. Spiritually, this shift is even more dangerous. Complacency is treated as a silent refusal, a statement that growth is no longer needed. It is not laziness, it is closure disguised as peace. And the universe, always respectful, responds by withholding what you have stopped reaching for. I have seen people lose incredible opportunities in this quiet way. A man finally receives a promotion and stops pushing himself to learn. A woman begins earning a little more and stops managing her finances carefully. A student masters one skill and assumes it guarantees the next. The comfort that follows success becomes the trap that destroys it. And the tragedy is that none of these people fail because of lack of talent or effort. They fail because they assumed the climb was over when it had barely begun. The second mistake is not falling asleep. It is believing you are safe enough to sleep. Yet prosperity does not respond to comfort. It responds to consistency. It rewards those who remain attentive even in victory. Those who keep moving not because they are desperate, but because they understand that growth is a lifelong rhythm. But even this danger, subtle as it is, pales before the third mistake, the one wrapped in the softest lie, the one that feels like wisdom, but quietly freezes your destiny. The third mistake is the most dangerous because it hides behind a comforting illusion. It does not sound negative or fearful or careless. In fact, it disguises itself as emotional maturity. It whispers a sentence that appears peaceful, balanced, almost noble. The lie that everything is truly okay as it is. This lie is subtle, soft, and deeply convincing, and it is the one that quietly freezes a person's destiny for years. In Jewish wisdom, this deception is considered the most spiritually restrictive of all. Not because acceptance is wrong. Acceptance is holy, but because false acceptance is paralysis disguised as peace. When someone tells themselves that everything is already good enough, they unconsciously abandon the pursuit of growth. They surrender not to God, but to stagnation. The universe is always expanding, reaching, unfolding. When you decide you no longer need to expand with it, you step out of its rhythm. What makes this mistake so devastating is that it feels like wisdom. People say, "I'm grateful for what I have, so I don't need more," without realizing that gratitude was never meant to replace growth. In Jewish teaching, gratitude is the fuel for movement, not the excuse to stop. Every blessing carries an invitation to rise, not an instruction to settle. When you believe everything is already fine, you silence that invitation, and soon after, movement stops, ambition fades. Vision blurs. You remain alive, but no longer expanding. Spiritually, this is a form of quiet self-abandonment. Science echoes this spiritual truth. I once read an Israeli study in which participants who repeated limiting, self-contained phrases, sentences like, "I'm fine," "It's enough," or "Life is okay as it is," showed a measurable decline in motivation and even a 12% drop in income over time. Their brains simply stopped scanning the world for possibilities. When the mind believes the journey is complete, it stops looking for paths. When speech announces closure, creativity shuts down. This is why the third mistake is so fatal. It shuts down the inner engine while convincing you everything is in order. You no longer feel urgency, and without urgency, momentum dissolves. Life becomes predictable, comfortable, and quietly empty. I have met many people living inside this illusion. People who are not suffering, but not growing. Not failing, but not thriving. Not broken, but not alive. They speak calm sentences masking deep stagnation. They do not complain because they do not dream. They do not fall because they do not climb. And over time, their world becomes smaller, flatter, and dimmer. But there is a moment, one single moment, when everything can change. The moment you notice that your words have been keeping you still. The moment you tell yourself the truth, not the comfortable truth, but the liberating one, that you are meant to grow. Because once you replace the lie of everything is fine with the honesty of I am still becoming, you reopen the gates that have been closed for years. And from that point forward, destiny begins to shift. For when you change the words, you change the direction. And when the direction changes, the entire path opens, especially once you learn the formula that transforms speech into prosperity. There comes a moment in every journey toward prosperity when understanding is no longer enough. You can recognize the mistakes, feel the weight of your words, notice the ways you have limited yourself, and still remain unchanged. Knowledge opens the door, but only a new practice invites you to walk through it. That is why Jewish wisdom, after revealing the dangers hidden in speech, offers a simple yet powerful remedy, a formula of 3 words capable of reshaping the direction of your life. But before I reveal it, you must understand why it works. Prosperity, in the spiritual sense, is not luck. It is alignment. It arrives when your inner world and your spoken world move in the same direction. When your desires, your actions, and your words harmonize, you create a frequency that both heaven and opportunity respond to. And that alignment begins with gratitude, not passive gratitude, but gratitude that breathes, gratitude that moves, gratitude that opens space for the next step. This is the first element of the formula. Gratitude humbles the heart. It softens the ego. It reminds you that what you already have is a gift, not a guarantee. Gratitude declares, I see the blessings already in my hands, and that acknowledgement creates room for more blessings to flow. But gratitude alone is not enough, because gratitude without movement becomes comfort, and comfort becomes stagnation. The second element of the formula is action. Jewish wisdom does not reward passive believers. It rewards walkers, seekers, builders, those who rise each day and take part in shaping their reality. Action tells the universe, I am participating in my own blessing. It signals readiness. It proves intention. And every small action, no matter how humble, becomes a magnet for the next opportunity. The third element is growth. Not perfection, not completion, growth. A willingness to evolve, to stretch, to remain open. The universe expands endlessly, and when you commit yourself to growth, you place your soul in harmony with that expansion. You say, I am becoming, and heaven recognizes the movement. These 3 elements, gratitude, action, growth, form the backbone of the phrase. And now that you understand its structure, you can receive it fully. Thank God, I am working and growing. This sentence is not magic, it is alignment in its purest form. Thank God anchors you in humility and appreciation. I am working signals movement, participation, willingness. And growing opens your vessel, stretching it so blessings have space to enter. Spoken daily, this phrase becomes a spiritual compass, gently shifting your life toward abundance. To make this transformation real, set a daily reminder. Choose a time that feels symbolic, like 9 in the morning, and when it rings, pause whatever you are doing and speak the phrase aloud. Not mechanically, but consciously. Feel each word reshape your posture. Let them settle into your spirit like seeds preparing to bloom. Because from the moment you begin repeating this formula, your life no longer follows the old patterns. A new rhythm starts. And soon you will realize that others before you have used these words, and their lives changed in ways that seemed impossible. Transformation often begins quietly in the privacy of a single decision, long before the world notices. And nothing demonstrates this more clearly than the story of a woman I once met, someone who discovered the power of words not through study or religious devotion, but through desperation. Her name was Donna Luzia, a small, gentle woman with tired eyes and hands shaped by years of work. For most of her life, she carried a sentence that kept her trapped, a sentence she repeated without malice. Life is what it is. Those 5 soft words became the walls of her world. She lived in a cycle of scarcity so constant that it felt normal. Her income was unpredictable, her health fragile, her days a pattern of doing just enough to survive. Every time someone asked how she was, she answered, "I'm managing." And because she believed that managing was all she deserved, the universe offered her nothing more. She accepted crumbs, both financially and emotionally, convinced that stability was too much to ask for. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult month, she attended a small study circle where the topic was the spiritual architecture of speech. She listened quietly as the teacher explained that words are invitations, not reflections. That speech is not commentary, it is a blueprint. That the universe responds not to need, but to declared intention. Something in her chest shifted when she heard this. For the first time, she realized she had been narrating a life she no longer wanted to live. That night, she went home and stood in front of her bathroom mirror. Her reflection looked familiar yet suddenly unresolved, as if waiting for a new instruction. She remembered the three-part formula: gratitude, action, growth. And for the first time in her life, she said aloud, "Thank God I am working and growing." The words trembled out of her, unsure, fragile, but they were true. They were seeds. The next morning, she repeated the phrase, and the next, and the next. Something subtle began to shift. She felt a new sense of alertness, as if her mind had begun scanning the world for open doors she had never noticed. Within 7 days, she accepted a small job she would have previously declined. Within 14, she restructured her finances. Within 30, she began selling homemade pastries on the weekends, transforming her kitchen into a source of income instead of stress. Her life did not change through miracles, it changed through alignment. As her words shifted, her posture shifted. As her posture shifted, opportunity shifted. Before long, what once was survival became stability, and stability became growth. Her story is not unique, it is universal. It proves that the mechanisms of speech and consciousness do not belong to one religion, one culture, or one lineage. They are human principles, accessible to anyone willing to speak with intention. Jewish wisdom simply preserves the language for it. You do not need to be born into this tradition to benefit from it. You only need to recognize that your words are not echoes but beginnings, and that the next beginning is always one sentence away. When you reach this point in the journey, something inside you begins to shift in a way that is both subtle and irreversible. You start sensing that prosperity is not a mystery at all, nor a stroke of luck reserved for a chosen few. It is a rhythm, a spiritual and psychological alignment that responds to the way you speak, the way you think, and the way you choose to move through the world. Jewish wisdom teaches this with extraordinary clarity. Words create worlds. Every phrase you release becomes a small act of creation, shaping the landscape you will later walk upon. This principle traces back to the very beginning of existence. In the book of Genesis, creation does not begin with hands molding matter. It begins with speech. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The universe responds to declaration, not silence. And in that single moment, a pattern was established. Reality follows language. If the divine blueprint began with words, then human life, made in that same image, naturally follows the same law. We speak, and our reality shifts. Slowly, quietly, but undeniably. This does not mean that words alone create prosperity. They are not spells. They are signals. They announce the direction in which you intend to grow. They tell your mind where to look, tell the universe where to open space, tell your spirit which path to step onto. This is the heart of the Jewish philosophy of prosperity. Abundance is the result of intention made visible through speech. And this leads to a decision you must make consciously. Every day, you stand at a crossroads with two paths before you. One path leads to stagnation, the slow tightening of life, the quiet suffocation of potential. The other leads to expansion, movement, and growth. The only difference between these paths is the words you choose to speak. When you say, "I'm growing," you step onto the road of possibility. When you say, "It's enough," you choose to stay exactly where you are. This choice is not dramatic. It does not require upheaval or sacrifice. It requires consistency. And to help you experience the power of this principle, I invite you to a simple challenge. For 7 days, just 7, repeat the prosperity formula each morning. Thank God, I am working and growing. Speak it even if you do not feel it. Speak it especially if you do not feel it. Words are seeds. They are planted before they bloom. You will begin to notice how your mind sharpens, how your awareness heightens, how your energy changes. You may experience small shifts at first, a new idea, an unexpected message, a moment of intuition. But these small shifts are the opening cracks through which larger blessings enter. And as this 7-day journey unfolds, something else will happen. You will sense that everything we've uncovered so far leads naturally toward one final truth. A truth even more powerful than the formula itself. The journey we've walked together brings us to a point of quiet clarity, a place where the threads of wisdom, experience, and intention weave themselves into a single understanding. Your words are not merely expressions of the present, they are architects of the future. And now, as we close this cycle, I invite you to return to the heart of everything we've explored. Do not say, "It's fine." Do not shrink your world with polite lies. Instead, carry with you the anchor that has guided every revelation along the way. Thank God, I am growing. This simple shift in language rewrites the script of your life. It transforms stagnation into movement, complacency into curiosity, fear into readiness. Jewish wisdom teaches that blessings follow those who declare themselves vessels capable of receiving. Growth is not an accident. It is a response to the invitation your words extend. And when your speech aligns with your desire for expansion, the world rearranges itself around that intention. May this understanding settle gently into your spirit, like a candle lit in a quiet room. And may the blessing that has traveled through centuries reach you now, just as it reached those who spoke it before you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He shine His light upon you and grant you peace. These words have held families, generations, and entire communities. Let them hold you too. As we bring this chapter to its end, remember that wisdom is not meant to be hoarded. It is meant to be shared, carried from one soul to the next, like a flame passed from candle to candle. So I invite you to take this message beyond yourself. Share it with 3 people who need to hear it, 3 hearts that may be whispering, "I'm fine," while longing for permission to grow. When you offer this teaching to others, you become part of the chain of generosity that sustains spiritual prosperity. Your journey does not end here. It continues in the quiet moments when you speak to yourself, in the choices you make before sunrise, in the thoughts you entertain when no one else is listening. It continues every time you choose growth over stagnation, truth over comfort, intentional speech over careless habit. Each choice expands your life in ways you cannot yet see, forming pathways that will carry you toward opportunities waiting just beyond your current horizon. Hold this truth close. Your words are the doorway. Your willingness is the key, and your growth is the path that reveals itself one step at a time. Thank God, I am working and growing.